Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
After a couple of off weeks in the last round, going a little bit of the unexpected way, now it's time to head back to Dover. It is going to be a cement-paved monster of a mile, and tonight, Miles the Monster might claim himself a few victims. This is Dover International Speedway. We are at the racetrack 1 mile in length. And Dorman, I heard you describing it to somebody the other day as, well, really, it's just a bigger Bristol.
Double length, but it's very similar in profile. It's very narrow, very fast. A whole lot of fun.
Certainly is. And tonight we're going to be going racing for 200 miles for the Australian NASCAR Championships. Can you believe we are already into round number 6? Remember all that time ago when a bunch of drivers was still trying to qualify their way into the series? What has the series looked like thus far? The first 5 rounds: Daytona, Phoenix Auto Club, Iowa, Texas last time out. Now we're here at Dover as we enter the back end of April. Who is going to finish out April with a couple wins on the trot? Kansas is where we're off to in 2 weeks' time on Sunday, May 11th. Charlotte Motor Speedway thereafter. Boy, that's going to be a big one for 134 laps from effectively the home of NASCAR down there. Michigan, we get back to the big old 2-milers, and then we're going to follow that up with Pocono. It feels good to have a couple of long racetracks back-to-back like that. Then we take a walk on the wild side. We give these NASCARs some right-hand turning to do as well. Oh, and the walls will be up close and personal. Chicago Street Course, that is going to kick off the back half of the championship, July 6th for that one. Indianapolis, another of the bigger speedways as well, before we go to Daytona, which is where we kick off our round of 12. Darlington, Richmond, and Bristol will conclude the round of 12. Atlanta, Talladega, Vegas, and Homestead, Miami to round out the championship. For tonight's gridding, who has managed to put it on pole? It was the driver who put it on pole back at Texas as well, proving he can get it done at 2 separate kinds of racetracks. He took his first pole position of the season. Zach Kerr, and lining up alongside of him is Dave Douglas, his best qualifying result in the season. Really good opportunity for Dave Douglas to put his name ahead. Lewis Greathead and Josh Micklemore are going to be lining up on row number 2. Change of team for Ethan Winter. Was BBS Motorsports, now Vortex Sim Sports. That's a big talking point we'll get an opportunity to discuss. Matt Danson, Brenton West, and Brad Newman. Newman deep in the field all the way back in 8th spot. Tyler Williams and Wayne Burke, and around out your 10. Tom Freer and Fitzroy Beaumont. Beaumont's been having a wicked season. He is not having a lot of fun in this one. We'll see how it progresses tonight. Jason Holdsworth, Shane Bowen, Darren McKenzie, Ryan Jones a long way back in the field. That's not good for him. Grant Manafort, Jamie Ritchie Price, Henry King, Aaron Gilbert, Stevie Williams, and Sam Chapman. The 22 cars making the grid here tonight. Pace car is already off. Lap number 1 at Dover. Who is going to be claimed and eaten alive by Miles the Monster as we go for 200 miles worth of racing from Dover? And Dorman, the big thing you got to do here is to settle into that groove early.
Settle in, save those tyres. If you go too hard,
oh boy,
big hit of the wall.
Oh boy, there's going to be a shoot.
And
it's Brad Newman.
It's the big one. Everyone's involved. That's about half the grid.
6 cars made it through. The top 6 cars cut their way through. Just about the rest of the field fired their way in. I cannot believe how many cars are involved in this one. Tonight, Miles the Monster's hungry, and he had to wait 2 corners before he could take a chomp. Is that
31?
I reckon he missed a shift.
He's missed a shift or something like that, but they're on the back straight, so they should be in top gear. Maybe he's just got a little bit loose on cold tyres. Brad Newman just unaware of the troubles he might be having and just turns the 31, and then they pile in after that.
We're going to have to go back for a ride on board. Look at that. You just see the loss of momentum.
The 31 hits the wall.
Boy. Oh, boy. This has got so many cars involved. There is going to be so much breakdown. Newman's basically done for the night. His car is destroyed. Watch it from here. Talk us through, Norman.
So I believe the 31's going to drift out wide, hit the wall, and just have to check up massively. Newman's just unsided him and then hit him, span himself around, and everyone behind. There's just no room for wreck avoidance on that back straight, and so many cars just pile in.
Oh boy. It was Josh Mickelmore, the 31 machine, who piled into the barriers first. So keep your eyes just out of Newman here. That 31 machine high
on the outside.
Touch of understeer.
Then the 13's in the back of Newman, just gets hit up the rear by maybe the 34 and just absolutely piled in. That's the kind of wreck we see on Super Speedway. It's not typical of the shorter tracks, but you can just see how quick that happens.
Well, the big thing here is that it just ricochets back up into people. I saw Aaron Gilbert get the wall hard. Grant Matterford, I think, made it through okay. I think he's one of the few cars to have escaped. I think Aaron Gilbert's generally okay. Sam Chapman looks okay. Gee whiz. There are so many cars impacted, and effectively...
The top 10 has made it through. Everyone else is in the pit lane.
Yeah. So Jamie Ritchie Price started out 18th, sits 7th on the road after 2 corners. Shane Bowen reporting too much damage, we're done, which is effectively iRacing's way of saying we can't repair the car. And look at these, for these guys that are at the back of the field. Look at the wall of smoke.
Sometimes you just got to drive through slowly and you just make it through hard on the anchors. And look at that, one of the rare cars to have 0 damage on it.
That's going to be a change in the point standing for sure. Huge opportunity for Henry King. Will be firing off out of 10th spot. Let's take a little bit of a chat about the cars that are involved here. Sam Chapman, touch of damage. Josh Mickelmore, major damage to the rear end. Ryan Jones still on pit lane. He tried to get a few more laps in and under his belt. Holdsworth is rolling out of pit lane right now. Brad Newman is rolling off of pit lane as well. Stephen Williams is back down in the pit lane. So there is literally 10 cars without damage. We've got 12 cars with massive damage. We've got 2 retirements already. Darren McKenzie is done. Shane Bowen is done. Right. Lap 4. We're going to try and restart him yet again. Zach Kerr gets a great launch from the inside. He's going to try and surge ahead. He does manage to get the jump. Have a look at Danson, who's immediately going to try and get aggressive.
Danson tags Winter. If they get through, they manage to keep it clean this time around.
They do.
Those cars with damage will be feeling the effects around this. It's a very aero-dependent track, and that lack of downforce and aero in these cars, not that they have a whole lot, will affect that tyre wear massively.
Oh, more cars in the back. That was Aaron Gilbert. I think they just collided the fence on the outside. As you're going to see Henry King jump to his inside and try and pick him off at this point. Remember, Aaron Gilbert did just about get through the wreck. A little bit of damage on the right-hand side. A little bit of communication. Tyler Williams just said in session, I'm a little bit tight right now. The car's got some damage. Give me some room and I'll see what I can do for you.
So now they've settled down a little bit, gone single file. Might be the smart move to tick some laps off. You don't have to get silly with it too early. We've got Danson chasing down that curve, 0.4 of a second behind. Winter's going to want to get one back on Danson after that little nudge through the corner.
And now we'll start the fill
There's that gap up to Danson looking out the front of Ethan Winter's car. Late team change for him, out of the BBS Esports before, but now into Vortex Sim Sports.
Big change at this early stage in the season for the Brisbane-based driver. And you can just see Danson is starting to make ground. And he's actually managing to hold the bottom of that corner, turn 2, a little bit better than Zach Kerr. Zach Kerr's tipping the car in from a lot wider. And Kerr is exceptionally loose. I don't know if you saw that wobble there, Aaron, but that was a fair bit of looseness in the car. Danson trying to get the nose underneath. Does manage to show the nose, but no overlap.
Allowing Danson to close in that gap and showing the nose like that. Zach Kerr just closes off that advance early. He's up very high here. Danson's got the nose in. They've got to hold it off the corner, not get a bit of a wiggle. Danson might have got a bit loose off the corner there. Danson.
I like that. Danson. we'll be walking that one back just about every week. But probably worthwhile having a little bit of a look a little bit further back. Drivers that have managed to get back out there are under 1 lap down at the moment. It's Brad Newman. Currently halfway down the back straightaway, so he's half a lap down and going 2 laps down. Tom Freer also at 1 lap down. A lot of damage to the rear end of his car. And Jason Holmesworth also at 1 down.
So that's a race in itself. If there's another caution, there's a race to get the lucky dog and get back on that lead lap. You will be at the back of the field, but at least you're not 1 lap down. Danson, just having a look on the inside now. Zach gives him a little bit of space. Danson just fires it underneath, gets the job done cleanly. Zach probably doesn't want to fight him too hard and burn off those tyres too early. We're only 13 laps in of 200. There will be 2 pit stops at least in this race. A tanker fuel. Ooh, big slap of the wall by Tyler Williams there.
So everyone's pressing on. And the big thing that we know is that because we've eliminated a lot of cars here in this early running, chances for a caution go through the floor. So getting on and off pit lane, this is probably the toughest pit lane entry you are going to have at any of the regular tracks NASCAR go to. Why? Pit lane speed tonight, in terms of kilometers an hour, it's it's 35 mile an hour, and in kilometers an hour, that is going to be 56 kilometers an hour. And the problem is you've got to get down there and get on the anchors. I did actually see Zach Kerr practicing his pit lane entries, but this is probably the single most difficult. And the reason for that, Dorman, she's quite flat down on the banking, and it is exceptionally slow. And a lot of low grip surface as well. That cement, she's not as high grip as the asphalt.
And that pit lane wall on the entry there comes up very quick. Through the different officials I've been in this week, a lot of cars have either hit that wall or they've had to go for another lap around because they just didn't bring it down early enough. Another thing they got to deal with is, like you say, you don't want to get a pit lane speeding penalty. As Lewis Greathead just touches the wall. These guys, over the next 20 to 30 laps, these cars are going to get very hard to drive. A lot of power, not a lot of tyre. This track is very right front dependent.
And look at Micklemore, he's still loose after triggering that first caution.
You can see the damage on the back of his car, so that won't be helping the air off the back of that car. He's very high on that corner. He doesn't quite get to wrap that bottom lane where most of the grip around this circuit is.
But it will move around across the duration of the night as well. You can already see the discoloration on the surface, and Micklemore washes up on exit.
That's the difference in grip. That low line at the moment has all that grip. You can keep the speed up. They'll get a bit tight on that top line, so in Australian terms, a bit understeery. They'll just push up the hill. You've got to let out more throttle to get the car to turn, a bit more weight on the nose. As we have a look at Jamie Ritchie Price. No, I believe Lewis Greathead having a look at the back of Jamie Ritchie Price in the pink and blue machine.
Cast your mind, 6 races ago, and Lewis Greathead notched his win and in to the playoffs for him. This is a good opportunity for him to put another bank of points on the board as well. So he cannot give up what is a great opportunity. But the problem is, it's also a great opportunity to grab a few more points. But the problem for playoffs is that, you know, they only award bonus points for wins. And and pole positions and such. Brad Newman on the slide, and you can see the damage to the front end. They have managed to get the hood back on that car, and they have managed to get the splitter back on that car. But either way, that is not providing him a whole bunch of downforce.
A very sad looking Supra, that one. Ethan Winter still looking forward to passing Zach Kerr. Just hasn't quite been able to peel the gap back since Danson passed Zach a few laps to go. You can see Danson just making his way through traffic there, putting a few more cars a lap down, or multiple lap down. I believe that Tom Frere's now 2 laps down.
Correct. Ryan Jones just moved to 3 laps down. Was the other car he just picked off. He's got about 5 seconds down the road as Matt Danson before he picks up the next car. At the moment, Ryan Jones is just trying to circulate. Big wiggle, though, for Zach Kerr, actually. He tried to slide down in, overdrive again through the corner a little bit on Ryan Jones and slid up the racetrack. For Ethan Winter, picks off the traffic a fair bit better. So, for now, the thing about Dover is, I think... that's a tough apron.
He touches the apron there. You do not want to do that on these cars. They will point in the opposite direction real quick if you do that.
That's the second time we've seen Zach Kerr lose. So he's missing that bottom line just a little bit. He's moved up fractionally. You just see not wrapping the bottom. He's running about half a groove off the bottom at the moment. Probably worthwhile going for a little bit of a ride on board at this point in time because this track's got a few unique features. Number 1, banking. Number 2, cement. You can hear the cars jumping around on those cement blocks. Number 3, check this banking transition out. That is a big old jump as they come out of the corners, and it feels even tighter. It's a harsher drop out of the corners down here in turn 4 as Greathead gets underneath. Jamie Ritchie Price barely manages to avoid contact.
As you come on and off the banking, it just, like Scotty said, it just jumps a little bit on the entry, and just here, you'll feel it drop off, and the cars can get very loose on the exit. So that's another thing you've got to manage, as we see, I believe, Ryan Jones heading to the pit lane.
And the thing for Ryan Jones is that's way too early for him to make it home. And at number 2, he's fallen to 3 laps down. He is still maintaining minimum speed to maintain his position in the race.
You did see the angle on Ryan Jones's front tyre there. It was pointing in the complete opposite direction to what he wants it to. As we see Aaron Gilbert make the move on Josh Mickelmore now. He's looking on the back of Jason Holdsworth in that number 8 Nitro machine, who's still sporting a bit of damage from that early contact.
And I'm going to jump back forward because we're still keeping an eye on Greathead and Richie Price at the moment.
They're about even at the moment, but it only takes one little mistake, one clip of the wall, and that will just ruin your run down one of these short straights. You can see how narrow of a racetrack that inside wall is right there. You can't go anywhere if there's a wreck like what we saw earlier.
And the diamond line coming out for Richie Price was quite strong over in 1 and 2. That dirty air is certainly helping him to hang on to his position at the moment. Enters quite high. And then he'll turn it down the racetrack in the middle of the corner. And you can see Lewis Greathead makes a ton of time in the middle of the corner.
But then we'll lose it down that back straight.
Yeah.
As we see a lap car just really compromise Jamie Ritchie Price's line there. He couldn't quite get the run on that back straight. That car now gets out of the way to allow these 2 guys to race cleanly.
Oh, that was Tom Freer. And Tom Freer is teammate to Lewis Greathead. So trying to provide some sort of advantage for the teammate. See if he can't get a little bit closer to Richie Price. He did shut down Richie Price and momentum for a moment there. Again, Danson's going to have to deal with traffic. Aaron Gilbert now will move to 1 lap down. We are now 9 cars on the lead lap. 9 cars!
You can see how slow Jason Holdsworth is off the back of the corner with all that damage on that number 8 Supra. Can't get anywhere close to that low line. Zach Kerr's got a little way to go till they catch up, and then Ethan Winter goes there. Even though these guys are going laps down, it's still a good bank of points on the cars that might not have shown up tonight or are out of this race in that early caution. So I say it every week. Or if we get door to door, Jamie Ritchie Price is in the wall. I say it every week, but championships aren't only just won on your good days, they're won on your bad days, mitigating those points lost.
Boy, he was right about connecting to that rear bumper of Lewis Greathead. Now, Greathead's got the fresh air on the nose. We'll see if he can do something about it. But the big point tonight is, what does your playoff points look like at the back end? Because remember, transition into the round of 12 on playoffs. That's the target. The halfway mark of the season. Just after the halfway mark of the season. And Indianapolis is the date that we're setting ourselves towards. The end of July. August will see us transition over to playoff season. How's that curve starting to get a little bit of that traffic that he's tracked down? In the meantime, Matt Danson's going to try and extend, and we'll do so. The problem being
33 laps green now, so this field's going to be very spread out, and we'll start to see who's dealing with the tightness or looseness of their cars. Have they set them up right? We've seen Zach Kerr loose for quite a lot of this stint. So he'll be talking to his team, saying, hey guys, I'm a little bit loose. What can I do in the pit stop changes? Crew chief up on the box there. What changes do they make? Air pressures in the tyres, or changing that wedge of the car, changing the spring position?
Well, I've got an update for you in terms of the Lewis Greathead situation. Since he's cleared Jamie Ritchie Price, 0.3 of a second faster than ever since then. He is now starting to motor away. The only car faster than the number 6 machine right now, race leader Matt Danson. So he will start to claw time back, but the problem is 2.5 seconds to Dave Douglas down the road. And the other problem is he doesn't want to press on too heavily on those tyres. Now he's got that fresh air, now he can press on. He's still got to keep thinking. We are less than halfway through a fuel stint here tonight. Dorman, what sort of range are we expecting out of these
Somewhere
cars?
in the 80 lap mark. So depending how much they save, each lap further down the stick, you're going to be using a little bit less fuel, because you're going to have to let off more and more on the accelerator to get the car to wrap the bottom, or they're about a lane or half a lane off there. So each lap, your fuel range does get extended, but I believe somewhere around the 80 lap range. Will they break it into 2 even parts, about 75 laps, say 150, and then a 50 run lap down the middle? Who comes in a little bit early and goes 60, 120, maybe 80 at the end? So you can make it to the end from about lap 120. So that's somewhere you've got to aim for. We see Danson just here. We're riding on board, just chasing down a few more lap traffic, put a few more cars down, another lap down. You can see his wheel there, not having to make huge corrections or anything like that. Dives low on, I believe, Tom Freya there. Just drifts up a little bit in the mid corner. Not any, or a little bit oversteer on the back of the corner there, getting a bit loose. But apart from that, smooth sailing here for Matt Danson.
The big thing I think you and I could both look at that car and say for Danson is he looks balanced with a hair free, a hair loose. And that's sort of the car that you want. You want a really, really balanced race car around here, because you need to use up those front tyres. You're going to get all your turning speed out of them. But at the same time, if you've got a car that's too free, you can't get back to the throttle, and therefore you've got no speed down the straightaways. You'll turn really well in the middle of the corner.
We see Danson just struggling getting past the 7 of Sam Chapman. So he's about to put 9th place a lap down. So now 8 cars on the lead lap. There's Dave Douglas just passing the damaged car of Jason Holdsworth. So Dave's in 4th place. Jason Holdsworth also out of the Nitro camp. Wouldn't have put in a whole lot of resistance to Dave there. But might work to hold up Lewis Greathead, play the teammate game a little bit. So we see Ethan Winters really closed up. Oh, you can see how loose Zach Kerr got on in mid-corner there. Ethan Winters just decides to back out of it. Probably a little bit tight on that corner, then couldn't turn down any further. He's going to be looking to get held up there by that lap car. Boxed Zach Kerr into the outside.
Oh boy!
Zach Kerr just giving him a shove. Get out of my way. We're racing here. Zach's got to be careful not to put any damage on the nose doing stuff like that, because that will make his car even, well, tight, not loose. That might even work in his favour ever so slightly.
Oh boy, and I tell you what, Ethan Winter, strong on the entry, weak in the middle, strong on the exit. That's how that one's driving at the moment. Again, another driver that's moved up the racetrack. Can even tell you, just having a quick look at the line from Danson, he is lower, but he has moved off the bottom of the racetrack as well. He's not glued. Have a look at the counter steer right there. Have a look at the line, the fractionally away from the bottom. He'll turn it down and try and straighten out the exit a lot. Yet again,
this is riding on board with Danson. You can see the VRS sponsorship in his helmet there. Little correction mid-corner. Little bit off the tail end of the corner, and that's it. So if we jump on board with Ethan Winter, we'll be able to see, here we go, perfect timing for the corner. Gets it in. This is pretty good showing this corner from Ethan. Oh, perfect exit. No correction, just straighten the wheel. Earlier on the onboards, we saw him hit the rev limiter, but now these tyres are worn off. They just can't get the grip out of the corner just to get to that power down.
Worthwhile noting, fastest lap of the race, 22.915. Current lap time, Matt Danson, 24.676. 984 for Ethan Winter, 22.984 was his fastest lap, 24.642. So fallen off at 1.7 seconds for those guys. They're the only drivers down on the 22-second lap times so far tonight. Cool racetrack. Have a look at all the cloud cover that's circulating in the air as well. So the other thing to be worthwhile keeping an eye on, have a look at the marbles building up towards the top end of that racetrack. So that's going to eliminate a couple lines up towards the top. That's okay. They're generally not used at Dover anyway.
But it does mean if you find out your way out there accidentally, it's going to be very hard to get that car wrapped around that corner without getting into that fence.
Worthwhile having a look at the drivers that are already out of the race. Moment there, I think, for Grant Matterford. And he's the first car at one lap down at the moment, although Henry King is very quickly going to become the next driver to fall off the lead lap, which will leave us with 6 drivers on the lead lap. 6 drivers.
When you're chasing the car like Grant Matterford is at the moment, you're clipping the fence. It just gets harder and harder. Those tyres just get hotter and hotter, as you see. I believe Sam Chapman just making a move, so that is full position. Looking at the back of Sam Chapman now, has Grant Matterford got anything for him? He's run very high up. Just so much slower in that mid-corner. But diamonds the track a little bit, like Scotty said, just to bring up that momentum.
Well, the big key is that Matterford knows that he's loose, so he's looking for a straight exit. That's the big key. As little real movement in the exit as you possibly can. Matt Danson's just caught Henry King and Josh Micklemore side by side, so we are going to move to 6 cars on the lead lap here very, very shortly. And Micklemore sits in 12th at the moment. He now moves to 2 laps down. So I'll give you the list of drivers that are currently done for the day. Ryan Jones has now left the service. Stephen Williams, meaning both of the Simrigs DPR cars are now done. Brenton West is still on the server, but on pit lane, probably done for the day. And Shane Bowen and Darren McKenzie already done for the day. That leaves us with 6 drivers who have ejected from the server. Fitzroy Beaumont has sat on pit lane for a very, very long time. But he's back out there at the moment on fresher rubber. And he is 1.4 seconds faster than Brad Newman, who is 21 laps ahead of him. And he is a second faster than Tom Freer, who is also 21 laps down the road. So some work to do for Fitzroy Beaumont. But at those numbers, every opportunity that he's going to certainly eat away a large number of those laps, but he's going to need cautions to get him further back up the field, you would feel.
But a lot more lucky dogs before him. So this is just circulating, getting a bit of experience running with these guys, and just negating the points off. If someone else has a big accident, he might move up to 15th, 14th place maybe. They're just extra points in the bag to just mitigate a bad run this week.
Let's give you an eye on Brad Newman. Is currently running at 26-second flat lap times, by the way, so he's not in a great way at this point in time. He's just trying to hang on to that car and also put points on the board at the moment.
So we just say Ethan Winter, very loose getting around Josh Mickelmore there. He's just gone around Sam Chapman.
Again, moving up the racetrack for straightening out that corner exit. We're past quarter race distance. In fact, we're rapidly closing in on 1/3 race distance at the moment. Couple laps away.
That's when you'll start to see the pit stops. These guys won't want to go any longer than they have to. These cars are looking very difficult to drive. So if they're getting to about lap 65, then pit at, say, lap 130, 140, and do a 60 to 70 run lap, or lap run at the end. You see a bit of sun on the track now, in the driver's eyes there. That can make the corner challenging. If you've got a car in front and you've got that sun right in your eyes, it can make it very difficult to see where your car's positioned, where other cars are positioned. Did a long green flag run. We can see how much it spread the field out. Everyone a 7th place or below is now at least a lap down, if not multiples. You can see Danson just ranging up on the back of Jason Holdsworth. Not often you see Holdsworth.
And something just happened to Brad Newman as well. There was a little bit of chat about how bent the race car is for Brad.
So if we look at the front tyre on Brad's car, you can see how much angle's down and how much he's going to fight this through the corner. If we see someone right up there in the marbles, just getting out of the way, I believe that could be Tyler Williams. Brad's just hanging on to 15th spot.
Was that clutch from Brad Newman on the way into the corner? Is he trying to really extend this stint as much as he possibly can?
I would assume he's looking for a safety car and a caution period to get a bit of this damage off, get that right front a bit more connected. Car looks like a handful, very slow. He's 4 laps down. He's about to be put 5 laps down. Goes up high, lets Danson just go nicely. Josh Mickelmore, first of those, not quite leaders, but that first group. You can see the camber on that front tyre there. That is not meant to be pointing in that direction, I don't believe.
No, that is certainly some extreme camber. We'll be offering him a big old contact patch for turning the car in. Let's, he'll tip it in on the pit road. Nice and accurate into the stall. His pit lane entry was quite accurate there as well. So, first of 2 pit stops done for the night for Micklemore. Was it 2 laps down? He'll move to 3 and probably 4 laps down before he rolls off pit lane, but perhaps some speed will return to that car.
There's Tyler Williams. He was just on the radio, just saying to Matt Danson, take the low line. I'm not getting in your way. I'm struggling with a bit of damage here. As Danson just puts in another lap down. So 11th onwards is at least 2 laps down. 7th to 10th is 1 lap down. So Henry King in 7th place. If there's a caution about now, he will get that lucky dog. He'll get that lap back.
I'm just wondering if you're a Dave Douglas, are you perhaps thinking about a pit stop here? Because at the moment he's losing a touch of time. Lewis Greathead's closed up to just over a second behind him right now. He's extending margin, but probably pit a touch early. At 4 or 5 laps. With a quicker run.
75 laps, 150, then it's a 50 lap run to the end. So at least the end of this race, your car's going to be feeling a lot better than it is now. You have a few chances to chase it with some adjustments. As we just see him enter 3 and 4 here. A little bit high on exit. Nice drive off the corner there down the hill. Solid run in 4th place tonight for Dave Douglas at this point in time.
Jamie Ritchie Price now has just been run down by a race leader. And he'll move off the lead lap. Actually got a touch loose right on the outside of Danson. I think Danson made it. So 5 cars now on the lead lap.
I believe Zach Kerr early stunt. That's very close to the pit lane line to be making that sudden braking move. But that's the first of our leaders to come down pit lane. You will lose at least a lap, maybe 2. But he'll come out with a lot fresher tyres, bit of an undercut. Does that force Danson's hand into coming in at this lap? As we see that number 30 just wrapping the bottom a little bit early in the corner coming up. Does not go down the pit lane this time. Gets a little bit loose.
But it's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Because he's going for the lane. He's going to roll back out now. Lap time right now for Matt Danson, 24.594. He's actually stabilised in the mid-24s, so I thought that might have continued to fall out a long, long way, but he must have just been conserving those tyres because he hasn't really fallen off any further. But if Zach Kerr can get out here and run some 22s at the moment, that might just force a bunch of drivers to pit lane.
We see Tyler Williams and the 03 of Aaron Gilbert. That's for position 9 and 10. They're battling away. Doesn't matter where these guys are on the field. They still want to pass the car that's directly in front of them.
So I'm a little bit curious. Tyler Williams, to me, felt like one of the cars that was probably going to be very, very early to pit lane. There's a lot of damage on the front end of his car on that spoiler. Oh, sorry, the splitter, front splitter of that car. You can see the Toyota Supra move around. Lewis Greathead's starting to take time out of Dave Douglas ahead of it. Down to under that half a second marker. Starting to apply some pressure.
Here's Zach Kerr just making the move on Ethan Winter there. So he's got 5 seconds.
Oh boy!
Oh, almost comes into the back of Tyler Williams there. So you'll have about 5 seconds up the road to unlap 1 lap from Danson, as we see Grant Matterford into the pit lane now.
And Dave Douglas just jumped on the radio and said, I'm on my way in as well. And in fact, I think
Danson is also saying Dave Douglas dives it down to the pit lane. You can see how much he's struggling to get it down. These guys have to stick to the right lane. There can be penalties for impeding in pit lane if you're running in that middle transition lane. There's Matt Danson, just peels it into pit lane. A little bit more controlled than the other guys.
no pressure on Danson, and that's why you'll see him be a little bit more circumspect. He's got no reason to press on. He can only lose from there by being aggressive on his pit lane entry. Enough time, given the amount of time he made in that first run, he was out to, what, a 7-8 second lead. There's every opportunity that he'd be able to run down a penalty, but you wouldn't want to have to.
Dancer might have got lucky with that pit stall that he didn't have to back up. You can see him over the line. In real life penalty, in real life NASCAR, that would be a penalty for pitting outside the box. As you see, the rest of the lead pack, very loose term, come into pit lane. Jamie Ritchie Price pulls it up on the marks.
So everyone on their way to pit lane at the moment, still waiting on Ethan Winter, who's gone exceptionally long compared to the rest of them.
Who's just peeled into pit lane now.
So now we wait for Sam Chapman. Will be the last driver to pit lane. Although, to be fair, Sam Chapman did pit under that caution. Had a lot of damage to repair. Topped the tar up as well. That will allow him a little bit of wiggle room to go a touch longer. Danson's rejoined with the lead of the cars that have pit, and now we're going to see final car we were waiting on to pit. So Chapman now in. So Kerr's made up a touch of time with that early pit. But for now, Matt Danson with fresher tyres on, he's going to find that advantage. And by the way, Sam Chapman's missed his pit stall a few times. He forward and back. Jiggled the car in the pit lane. Forward and back just a little bit. So he'll return back out to the racetrack. In the meantime, Dave Douglas has lost that spot to Lewis Greathead, so wasn't accurate through the pit lane, unfortunately, for Douglas. He's the last two cars on the lead lap as well. Pack was, a little lower through pit lane, and Lewis Greathead actually picked a couple laps later, and he's managed to pop out ahead of him. So this one heads rapidly towards the halfway mark. We're 40 minutes since the drop of the green flag. I can tell you, halfway mark only about 8 laps away. But for the field, looking a little bit sparse, and get a long green flag run at Dover. It is, remember, only a 1 mile lap, and in actual fact, Dave Douglas has now put. Matt Danson's now been put. Matt Danson has now put Dave Douglas a lap down. That's not going well from the commentary perspective.
That leaves 4 cars on the lead lap now. As we see Newman come down in the pit lane in that background there. Hard on the anchors. You see the 2 licorice stripes just there. Bit of conversation on the YouTube chat tonight between Miss Admin saying, let's go Fitzroy. It's not over until it's over. Plus the cycling starts on SBS soon. We don't want to watch cycling. We're here for NASCAR.
The only cycling we're here for is pit cycling.
And Steve Gerber says, bit of a NASCAR, well, bit of a Newman fan, but a bridge too far for me, he thinks.
Yeah.
You'll see Steve Gerber run our truck series with me on Thursday nights, running those beautiful Australia-wide racing colours.
So for now, we're just watching and waiting and seeing if anyone can do anything. You can already see Zach Kerr, a few laps ago, was about a second closer than Matt Danson. He has lost that ground, unfortunately. So the undercut's not work, but that car is looking a lot more straight through the middle and off the exit of the corners. So hopefully he hasn't worn that right rear tyre off this run.
Might have made a few adjustments in that pit stop to just tighten it up a little bit in that mid-corner. So it's just holding the wheel nice and straight there. If we get the proper zoomed in look, Zach Kerr's just holding the camera for us. Getting right up in that rev zone, sunning his eyes through turns 1 and 2 there. Onto the back straight. Looks like he's chasing down Brad Newman, who's several laps down.
So, at the moment, he's going to try and make some ground as much as he possibly can. Keeping half an eye on Fitzroy Beaumont. He's actually tracked down 3 laps out of Brad Newman, so he's going to run out of time before he gets there. Newman, I think, did Newman make a pit stop? I'm not 100% sure he has.
Newman,
no, a couple
not too long ago.
Yeah. So I think he's trying to make it home on the current set of tyres that he's on, such as the pace deficit he's at. There is every opportunity. He ran 86 laps on that run.
Oh, that's a long way to go home. That's 20 laps of fuel you've got to save. He's well off the pace, so it's not out of the realm of difficulty. It's about 2 laps per pit stop here. So if he can save 1 pit stop, he might pull back up to maybe 13.
He is 7 laps down, so I would be saying he may actually go to about 14, 15 laps down, in which case he would make it home. So every opportunity for him to make it. The problem that he's got is that there's actually no gain in him doing so. He won't gain spots, he won't lose spots. And therein lies the issue. But hey, he's out there, he's circulating.
But if he manages to wipe off a pit stop and he keeps that 1 lap down on Jason Holdsworth, he might make that spot. Just with not having to trundle down the pit lane, pull up on the mark, full tank of fuel. That first stint was pretty run-of-the-mill. Everyone had to pull the same strategy. But this time around, you got a lot more chances to play something different. Your crucial lap is about lap 120. You can pit any time after that and make it home. So if you want to play this one short, get a bit of an undercut, maybe go middle of the stint, somewhere around the lap 140 to 150 to shorten up that last stint.
So Zach Kerr's tyres already starting to go away from him, and this now becomes the battle for second place. Ethan Winters caught him, and you know what? He's actually not going to fight it too much. Margin for the lead now is just shy of half a lap.
So let's put it out to our viewers tonight. Can Danson lap the entire field tonight? If they get a long enough green flag run, can he put Ethan Winter, who's about half a lap behind. That's the difference he's got to make up. Let's find out. Put it to you guys.
So, for the moment, 23.8 for Matt Danson. Plays a 23.95 for Ethan Winter. So he's only taking a tenth out of him at the moment. Put a lap on him. He needs to make up about 15 seconds. And then, by those numbers, he'd need about 150 laps.
I just had a message come through my inbox about on board with Brad Newman when we were on there before, where he was clutching in his corner. That could be him trying to save fuel to make it home at the end. If he can push out, it's going to be a very long run, because he'll be so many laps down. He will have to complete less laps of the race. He could now just one stop it and drive this to the end.
Yeah, the big issue is that he is well and truly over a lap behind the car ahead, which is that of Jason Holmesworth.
So Holmesworth, if he has to make another pit stop, not a lot of positions in it, but there's something. There's that carrot dangled right in front of him. That little orange dot in the middle of the steering wheel.
We have had our first speeding on pit lane penalty of the night come through. And I can tell you, it's for the 03 car of Aaron Gilbert. Spent 1 minute and 36 seconds on pit lane. Everybody else's transition, about 40 seconds quicker than that. So that will be a stop and hold penalty for speeding in the lane.
And that one hurts when you're sitting there for 40 seconds watching the crowd whiz by. It's 24-second odd lap here. So it's pretty well 2 laps gone.
Lap and 3/4. We can confirm that one is Aaron Gilbert, not AA Ron Gilbert. There's no extra A.
And here's for a sight that we've seen many times before. Danson moving his way through this lap traffic.
It's watching everything unfold in front of us at the moment. We'll pick off Lewis Greathead, and this will move Greathead to 1 lap down. There are 3 cars left on the lead.
Fitzroy Beaumont, he's 28 laps down, so he's probably on fresh tyres. He's got a good run on him now, so now he's only going to be 27 laps down.
And for those of you watching along at home and watching and going, well, how's a lap car doing that? The difference between Fitzroy Bowman's tyres, he pitted about 6 laps ago. So for Matt Danson, he's 30 laps into this run at the moment. So that's the difference. Tyres on your screen.
Steve Gerber believes Danson can't lap the field.
I'd agree with that. The stats say he'd need a lot more time than he has on his hands.
There's a little bit of banter in the radio chat at the moment. Tyler Williams saying that Sam Chapman wants P10 because, you know, P10's way cooler than P9.
A much more round number. But, you know...
Got 1 in it.
Ninth is a cubed number, and cube numbers are cool. Oh, sorry, square number. My apologies, square number. So, this one's dragged on a little bit for the drivers. Now, Aaron Dorman, it's great to have you here in the commentary box, but one of the benefits of having you here in the commentary box is that we get to sit back and we get to enjoy some stories of racing exploits. And you dubbed yourself in earlier tonight. I was catching up with you, and you took part in an endurance event this weekend. Now, I've got some sad stories of things that I've done under cautions, but those were in years gone by. You, on the other hand, what did you manage to do under a safety car procedure this weekend?
Well, after creating the safety car, we did the Bathurst
Okay,
6 hour.
whoa. There was more to this story. You didn't tell me that part. That part was added detail. Can I get that again? You caused the safety car, and then what happened?
So the first safety car was not my fault. I had a bit of air put on my rear tyre, which the dreaded N-word. Just disconnected the rear tyre and I spun coming down the hill at Bathurst. Had to wait till I get a tow and then trying to catch up to the field to get my lap back coming down the mountain. The car just went the wrong way and I put it in the wall under the safety car.
So you caught... Now the piece that he didn't tell me earlier on this evening, race fans, I jumped in to catch up with the Aussie Road Racing crew, see how their weekend is going. And he said, yeah, I crashed a car in a safety car. He didn't tell me he caused the safety car.
No, the car that hit me caused the safety car. I just happened to be the one that stopped on the track.
Oh, doubling down on that one. Look, there's a clip. My first ever race that I was leading on a SimSpeed broadcast, by the way. I crashed whilst leading the race under safety car. So,
I was far from leading at that point, but unfortunately, sometimes these things happen. I was what I thought was being cautious down the hill and just put my little Mazda MX-5 straight into the fence.
Yeah, is there any slower cars than the MX-5? We might have to take you out of the rookies next time.
They were quicker than the Toyota 86 at Bathurst, so I'll take that.
What about you, race fans watching along at home? Taking a little bit of a look at the last lap times on the timing tower at the moment. Fitzroy Beaumont, the only driver in the 23-second laps. But for everyone else, Danson and Winter have gotten a touch closer in terms of lap times, also running the fives. Lewis Greathead's starting to make some time out of Zach Kerr. Ran a 24.576 last time by, 0.2 of a second faster than Zach Kerr. So he is making time, but it's going to take him a fair while to get there. In actual fact, our pit window to make the home has now opened.
So this is where this strategy is going to... Someone's going to come in early. Might force the hands of someone else, but these tyres really drop off. So the shorter run you can do in the last stint, the better. I believe somewhere the lap 140 to 150 is when you're going to see most of these pit stops.
Give you an example of how far into the run these guys are at the moment. Matt Denson is currently 41 laps into the run. Most of the drivers behind him going a little bit longer. But for Zach Kerr, sorry, my apologies, Zach Kerr's on the longest run of a lot of them. He's about 7 laps older on the tyres. That's why he's struggling a little bit for pace at the moment.
That's going to bring Zach Kerr into the danger zone. He's about 6-7 seconds off going a lap down, which would only leave 2 cars on that lead lap. And so Ethan Winter is really going to have to play the strategy against Matt Danson to be able to stay on that lead lap. He's just dropped off a second or so in the last few laps. He's at 9.8 seconds.
Let's have a little bit of a chat about championship standings now at the moment, which I think is probably critical as we progress to the midpoint of the season here for Australian NASCAR Championships. Don't forget we've had Matt Danson go to victory lane twice so far this season. So he is currently leading the way in terms of playoff contention. Sorry, my apologies. Zach Kerr, after winning last time out, was leading the way in terms of playoff contention. The reason for that, he has to his name 10 bonus points, or 10 points towards the playoffs. Fastest lap.
Matt Denton's doing his best to get a few more bonus points. He's got the fastest lap in this race. He would have led the most amount of laps. And then if he gets the win, he'll get 3 out of 3 playoff points.
Lewis Greathead, also at 1 win, is the only other driver thus far to have locked themselves into the playoffs. 12 spots on offer for the playoffs here tonight. Let's run you through them because it's actually rather important to our racing. Wayne Burke was taken out in that early wreck. He sits top of the pile in terms of drivers without a win. He will not be scoring a bank of points here tonight. That is worthwhile keeping in the back of your mind. Tyler Williams has been on a hot streak of late. He sits second in points. He's 10 off the lead of Wayne Burke. And at the moment, he is going to more than make that up. He will move to potentially second overall. Brad Newman has 3 bonus points at the moment going his way for playoffs, but yet to lock his way in. Sits 5 points behind Tyler Williams. Won't ever take him here tonight. Sitting a little bit further down. Josh Micklemore also caught up in that wreck, but still rolling around. And it's still deep in the field. Shane Bowen, first of the retirements here tonight. 8 spots, 120 points at the moment. He is not going to put a bank of points together. There are several drivers behind him. Let's 13 points or so back. So an opportunity for them to bank points. The problem for those drivers, not enough drivers in between him. Bowen's going to finish out of, I believe, 20th spot he's scored in at the moment. So we need to finish 7th or better to make up those points from outside the playoffs. Jamie Ritchie Price, though, also on 120 points. Sits inside a 6th spot here tonight. Really strong opportunity for Ritchie Price to press his way forward. That will do enough to put him solidly out of the risk zone for the first half of the season. Tom Freer at 112 points, sits 5 points above the cut line. And the drivers that are sitting on the cut line, Henry King and Darren McKenzie. Critically, Henry King sits 7th in the standings here tonight. Darren McKenzie, last scored of the drivers that were in that lap 1 wreck. He will finish 22nd, will lose points to everyone else in the session and around him. Critically, Jason Holdsworth sits 1 point outside the playoffs. He is out there and circulating, so you can confirm that Darren McKenzie will drop outside the playoff standings. Drivers that are sitting outside. Jason Holdsworth, 1 spot, 1 point away. Aaron Gilbert is 2 points away. Gilbert sitting 12th spot on the road. That pit lane penalty may be huge to his playoff contention. Sam Chapman, though, is in for a good points night. Sits 3 laps down, 9th on the circuit. Only needs to make up 4. And he looks to be the driver that will bank enough points and jump his way into the playoffs. Stephen Williams, early retirement here tonight. How about Dave Douglas? He sits 8 points out. He may end up slotting his way in because guess what? He is 5 spots ahead of Sam Chapman, and he only needs to make up 4 points. So the driver that will move their way into the playoff zone here tonight is very likely going to be that of Dave Douglas. Also worth noting, Ethan Winter, minus 11 points to the cutoff line, and he needs a very, very strong night. He, at the end of this one, looks like he might be 1 point on the outside. That's how tight it is for the playoffs. So in actual fact, at the end of tonight's race, the results are going to get tighter around that bubble zone. Not spread open like we thought they might be.
And that's where we alluded to earlier. Even if you're having a bad race, every point counts because you might only have 1 or 2 points to make up. You can make it down in 15th, 16th, 17th. If someone's in 27th, you can make those points up. As we just follow the car of Ethan Winter now, you can see him just coming up towards Jason Holdsworth to put another lap down on him. It's very much stabilised between Winter and Danson now, still sitting around that 9.5 second mark. Kerr's just dropping ever so slightly back into the clutches of going a lap down to Danson. So that early undercut is now not working in his favour, and that's the difference it makes. Although, not by much. 0.003 of a second of that time around.
Even now we're just forced to sit and wait. The difficulty being when everyone gets spread out like they did on lap 1, and there's very few drivers that are actually able to race each other. And you're starting to see Dancing get a touch loose. It looks like he's freed that car up a fraction after the last pit stop. He'll have some thoughts and adjustments. The big thing for him will be take it steady. There's no reason to go heavy-handed at the adjustments on this next pit stop.
There's the marbles that we alluded to earlier. And Danson is ranging up on the back of Jamie Ritchie Price to put him 2 laps down. So every car from 6th place onwards will be at least 2 laps away from the lead of this race. This is a huge run that Matt Danson put on it. 140 laps green, really spreads out the field, shows who's put in the practice. I was in a race with Danson earlier this week after our truck race, and he is a huge fan of Dover.
At the moment, he's showing that by schooling the field. 10 seconds margins. You know, we've had incredibly tight races. It's only been a couple seconds at most thus far throughout the season. Worthwhile for the fans that have just joined us. Hello and welcome. Pit stops are actually, we were just about thinking about jumping back and having a quick look earlier on throughout the series, throughout tonight's racing action, and having a look at everything that caused all that chaos way back on lap number 1, but we'll have to hold for that because pit stop cycles have begun.
See Josh Mickelmore just coming down the pit lane now, tidy on the marks. You don't want to turn in too soon. You can't go through too many pit boxes.
56 kilometers an hour is the transition. Slowest pit lane that we have is 35 mile an hour. That's what these cars are measured to. They're geared up to make the transition. The lights on the dash actually light up if you're in the correct gear for pit lane, to show you what RPMs you need to doing, and the dash will flash red to show you when you're over. They don't have a pit lane speed limiter. They don't even have a tacho to tell you exactly what speed you're at. He looks settled away, does Mickelmore. Hits the 35 mile an hour, hits the cone, and gets out the other way.
It's a very slippery pit exit, so you got to be careful that you don't drift it up onto the racetrack, get an unsafe pit exit, or just end up facing the other way. So now Josh Mickelmore back on the racetrack. He's got 50 laps now to make it to the end. We see the battle for 13th and 14th spot. Jason Holdsworth just made it to the back of Tom Frere, but Jason's also dealing with the lap traffic as we see Henry King go past. There's battles all through this pack. Doesn't matter if they're 2, 3, 4, 5 laps down. 7 laps for this case, but this is still a race for 13th spot. As Tom Frere just smacks the wall there, Zach Kerr into pit lane.
And he was the first driver to pit on the last pit cycle. He's going to be the first driver to pit on this pit cycle. Lap times out the 24.6 margin for both leader Matt Danson and P2 Ethan Winter. It was a huge opportunity for the undercut. Dave Douglas is going to join him, and Lewis Greathead at the time of pitting was about 4 or 5 seconds down the road. So realistically, Greathead's got to be into the lane very, very shortly thereafter, and he's actually going to continue on. We are in sight of 50 laps to home.
So Zach Kerr did a 74-lap pit cycle this time around. He'll only have to do 47-ish laps. So that's the difference he's going to be at the end. He's going to be a lot more comfortable, shorter run to the end. He's dancing going to push it out while he's got those fresh tyres. Zach Kerr's going to have to make up somewhere in the realm of 20 seconds. You can see Dave Douglas there with flames shooting out the exhaust pipe. He's got it held on the throttle, ready to take off as soon as the go man lets him go. You can see how close they are to the edge of the racetrack, and those cars just whizzing past. Takes about half a lap to get up to speed here.
now we just watch and we wait. Because have a look at the traffic at this point in time, and Dave Douglas is going to get absolutely mobbed by them as he tries to make the most of fresh tyres. Drivers on the older rubber, at least sitting on the higher line at the moment. I can tell you Zach Kerr, 1.1 seconds faster last time by than our race leader and P2 driver. And we've got to wait for how much quicker Dave Douglas was as well, because that was only 0.6 of a second, but there was so much traffic on that lap.
If there's a caution right now, Lewis Greathead will be the beneficiary. We see Zach Kerr's 2 laps down, so he will not be eligible for the lucky dog. It will be Lewis Greathead. So strategic-wise, it makes sense for him to go long and try and keep that first position 1 lap down as long as he possibly can, as we see Aaron Gilbert and Grant Matterford come down the pit lane.
Yep, so more drivers to pit lane. Ethan Winters just on the radio saying that he will be making his way into the lane as well. So, here they all come.
Oh,
that might be speeding. That was very deep. You got away with it. Got away with it.
How long will Matt Danson go? He's got a bit of breathing space. Ethan Winter needs to make up about 10-ish seconds, which he'll do over 6-7 laps.
So he can't wait forever, but he can wait for a very, very long time. Pits stop information tonight as well. They had 4 sets of tyres for the race, which means in a 2-stop race, you'll only burn 3 of those sets of tyres, which means you've got 1 set over, just in case there is one final caution. But for Matt Danson, even if he does wait 7 or 8 laps, he's going to have a massive tyre offset. And he won't be too fussed about it either. He'll probably just run this one as long as he possibly can. He's done all the hard work. The risk to his strategy is minimal.
Lewis Greathead will be pitting this lap, so that will put him down another 2 laps. And over the radio, Matt Danson says pitting. So, we did call it. Matt Danson has put the entire field under. Oh, that was very deep. He doesn't want to get a pit lane penalty.
The cone is a little way beyond those barrels, but he did make it into the pit lane. And timing and scoring has him without penalty. So he is okay for now. Richie Price is going to stay out on the racetrack. He might work his way back to the lead. In fact, he may even inherit the lead for a very brief period of time. As Dave Douglas is going to cut his way through. And I think that actually might be Ethan. No, sorry, that's not Ethan Winter, just in behind him. But Winter is on the same lap. Now, we watch, we wait. This pit cycle's got to play its way out. Matt Danson's going to make his way off pit lane, and in actual fact, will maintain the lead over Richie Price. So, very, very comfortable for Matt Danson as you accelerate away.
7.5 seconds there. Jamie Richie Price he got passed by Ethan Winter there. So now we've got 4 cars on that lead lap. So you can see the difference Zach Kerr made up. He's only 8 seconds off the lead of this race, but he will be on 11 lap old tyres while Matt Danson's on brand new sticker tyres.
And that margin for Matt Danson that he had control of the race halved through the pit cycle. So he gave up some time, but not a lot of time. More than enough. It was about being nice and accurate as he made his way to pit lane. On the next 40 or so laps will become a parade for him. Probably a little bit more of an adjustment, touch more of a swing of the time at the car on pit lane as well. And for now, that was the car on the outside of the 39 machine of Winter grabbing the barrier. Was that the 7? I think it was the 7 of Sam Chapman.
So Jamie Ritchie Price, he's 79 laps into this stint. He's going to have to come down pit lane. He'll be running low on fuel. He's getting run down by everyone around him. See how Lucy got off turn 4 there?